She was a new bride, young, full of life, and excited about her future. Her wedding had just taken place 10 days earlier, and it was everything she had dreamed of. But that dream ended in the worst way possible. Rhea was found dead in a luxury villa in Goa during her honeymoon. The door was locked from the inside. There was no sign of anyone breaking in. Her husband, Vikram, was the only other person in the villa. And within hours, he was gone. When police started looking into the case, they found things that didn't make sense. Deleted call logs from his phone, strange text messages, and even proof that he had paid a travel agent in cash before disappearing. Nothing added up. Did something go terribly wrong during the honeymoon, or was this part of a plan all along? This didn't look like a sudden fight. It looked organized, cold, and maybe not his first time doing something like this. Rhea was only 25. Vikram is now in police custody, and he won't say a word. But the truth is slowly coming out. Rhea Kapoor was just 25 years old. She lived in Delhi, worked in digital marketing, and had built a good life for herself. Her parents were proud of her. Her friends always said she was full of energy, kind, and smart. People thought she had everything going for her. That's when she met Vikram Chauhan, a 32-year-old businessman from Mumbai. He owned a few boutique resorts and seemed successful. They were introduced by mutual friends. Vikram was polite, confident, and came from a well-known family. He knew how to impress people, especially Rhea. In just 3 months, they got engaged. The families were happy. Everything moved quickly, and 6 months later, they had a big, beautiful wedding in Udaipur. The photos went viral on social media. Everyone thought it was the perfect match, a dream wedding, 2 well-off families, and a couple that looked happy. But within 10 days of the wedding, the dream turned into a nightmare. The couple had gone to Goa for their honeymoon. They checked into a luxury private villa, away from the main resort. On a Tuesday morning, the hotel staff didn't receive any response from the couple. When they knocked, there was no answer. Eventually, the staff managed to get in, and what they found shocked them. Rhea was lying motionless in the bathtub. Her body was pale and still. They rushed her to the hospital, but it was too late. She was declared dead on arrival. At first, it looked like an accident. But then something strange happened. Vikram, her husband, disappeared. He had made the emergency call, but by the time the ambulance reached, he was nowhere to be found. His phone was turned off. No one from his family could reach him. That's when the doubts started. There were no major injuries on Rhea's body, just a small cut on her lip and light marks on her neck, the kind that could easily be missed. There was no sign of forced entry. No broken locks, no shattered windows. The security cameras installed around the villa had been turned off the night before. And Rhea's phone? It was missing completely. Her handbag was still there, but the phone had vanished. Police began their investigation. The first thing they checked were the phone records. That's where the story started falling apart. Vikram told the police he had been sleeping next to Rhea all night. But his phone had pinged from a tower 12 kilometers away during the same hours, so either his phone was with someone else or he was lying. Either way, something wasn't right. From that point, the case got darker. Police found inconsistencies in Vikram's story. Some hotel staff mentioned he had been behaving oddly the night before, talking on the phone for long periods and asking strange questions about early checkouts. But there was still no proof of a crime, no CCTV footage, no eyewitnesses, and no solid evidence yet. But one thing was clear: this wasn't a simple accident. Something was off. And the more the police looked into Vikram's life, the more questions they started asking. Before they even went on their honeymoon, Rhea's friends had started noticing signs that something wasn't right. Rhea used to be outgoing, full of life, and always surrounded by people, but a few weeks before the wedding she began pulling away. She stopped attending gatherings, became quieter, and often looked distracted. When her friends asked her about it, she would smile and say, "He just worries about me a lot. It became a pattern. Anytime someone mentioned how Vikram kept calling or tracking her location, she would brush it off, saying he was just protective. But some friends weren't convinced. Her best friend from college, Priya, remembered a strange moment just 1 week before the wedding. Rhea had joked, or at least it sounded like a joke at the time. She said, "If I ever disappear, you know who to blame." Priya said the way she laughed didn't feel natural. It felt like she wanted to say more but couldn't, Priya later told police. To outsiders, Vikram seemed perfect, calm, successful, well-spoken. He always said the right things at the right time. But people who worked closely with him, especially staff at his resorts, described a different man. Some said he had sudden mood swings and could go from being extremely polite to shouting within minutes. Others mentioned how he liked to control things, not just work, but people too. Everything had to be his way, or there would be problems. Then came the financial secrets. Vikram had told Rhea and her family that he owned several resorts and was doing very well. But investigators later discovered that wasn't true. His businesses were actually in big trouble. He was behind on multiple EMIs, had taken large private loans, and was even fighting a lawsuit from a former investor. Rhea had no idea. He had created a fake image of success. Fancy clothes, expensive cars, luxury holidays, all to impress her and her family. But under that image, he was struggling badly. There were also strange things discovered on Rhea's phone. After her death, her parents were given her belongings, including her mobile phone, but when investigators looked into it, they found that dozens of photos and messages had been deleted. Most of them were from the honeymoon days. Why would Vikram do that? What was in those pictures that he didn't want anyone to see? One message that did get recovered from a backup was especially troubling. Rhea had sent a text to her cousin. 2 nights before she died, it said, "He's been weird, keeps checking my phone, got angry that I posted a selfie. Is this what marriage is supposed to be like?" That single line spoke volumes. She was clearly uncomfortable and beginning to question what her life had become. Resort staff also remembered signs of tension. A housekeeper told the police that she had heard shouting and breaking glass coming from their villa the night before Rhea was found dead. "They were fighting loudly," she said. "It didn't sound like a normal argument." No one reported it at the time because they thought it was a private matter, just a couple having a disagreement. But the most suspicious part was what Vikram did right after Rhea died. Instead of staying with her body or calling her family, he quietly checked out. CCTV footage from the resort showed him walking out early in the morning, dragging a suitcase behind him. He wore sunglasses and a cap, trying to hide his face. He didn't speak to anyone, didn't leave a note, and didn't answer his phone after that. This was supposed to be the worst day of his life, losing his wife so suddenly. But his behavior didn't show any signs of grief. No crying, no panic, no visible shock, just a quiet, careful exit. It didn't look like a man in mourning, it looked like someone trying to leave without being noticed. As more details came out, friends and family started questioning everything. Had Vikram planned this all along? Was the honeymoon just a setup? And if he was innocent, why did he run? Police were now looking into his past, not just recent years, but his older relationships too. Because the more they learned about Vikram, the clearer it became. The charming, successful husband Rhea had married might have been hiding much more than anyone had imagined. Police reached the villa in Goa within just a few hours of the incident. From the outside, everything looked calm. Inside, it was the same, too calm. The bed was neatly made. Rhea's clothes were folded. Her makeup and personal things were arranged on the bathroom counter. Nothing looked broken, stolen, or disturbed. But what stood out immediately was the bathroom, and what they found inside. Rhea's body was lying in the bathtub, fully clothed. Her face was partly underwater. It was strange, not just because she was dressed, but because there were no signs of drinking or drug use nearby. There were no empty bottles, no signs of overdose, and nothing that pointed to a medical issue. Her surroundings were clean and controlled. At first, some officers thought maybe she had fainted and drowned, or maybe it was a sudden heart issue. But her family pushed back right away. Rhea was young, fit, didn't drink, and didn't have any health problems. They were sure something was wrong. Then came the post-mortem report, and everything changed. Rhea had not drowned. She had died from asphyxiation, which means her oxygen supply was cut off. Her lungs had barely any water in them, which ruled out drowning. There were also faint red marks on her neck, which hinted at pressure being applied, maybe by hand or with a soft cloth, but not with a rope or wire. She also had a small cut on her lip, and the medical examiner said it was most likely caused by a blunt object, maybe from falling against something or being hit. The report also found something even more disturbing. There were sedatives in Rhea's system. She had been drugged. The amount wasn't enough to kill her, but enough to make her sleepy, confused, or unable to resist if someone tried to harm her. The pills weren't prescribed to her. She had no medical history requiring that medication. That's when police checked Vikram's belongings more closely. In his suitcase, they found blister packs of anti-anxiety pills, the same type found in Rhea's body. The pills were prescribed to him, not her. This alone wasn't illegal, but combined with the autopsy report, it raised serious red flags. Then came his phone activity. Investigators recovered partial data from his phone's GPS history. Between 1:10 a.m. and 3:45 a.m., the window when Rhea is believed to have died. Vikram's phone pinged at several locations, first near an ATM, then on a beach road, and finally near a gas station. By 4 a.m., the phone was switched off completely. If Rhea had died accidentally, why wasn't Vikram with her? Why had he left the villa in the middle of the night? And more importantly, why had he turned off his phone? That wasn't all. Police later found that Vikram had deleted multiple WhatsApp chats and even cleared the browser history on both his phone and hers. This wasn't something people normally do after losing a loved one. It looked like someone trying to hide something, and fast. Another strange detail: Rhea's phone was missing. No one could find it. Vikram's phone was discovered later, hidden under the bed. Again, none of this made sense if this was truly an accident. Why hide devices? Why delete messages? Why disappear? When crime scene experts examined the villa more closely, they felt that the whole place looked too perfect. It didn't look like the scene of an emergency. Usually, when someone finds their loved one unconscious or dying, they panic. Things get knocked over. People cry, scream, call for help. But this place was silent. The only damage was a cracked mirror in the bathroom, and the shape of that crack matched the injury on Rhea's lip. It was as if she had fallen or been pushed into it. And then there was the biggest question of all. If this was suicide, and where was the note? Rhea had left no explanation, no goodbye, nothing to suggest she was planning to end her life. Everything about the scene felt organized, careful, staged. After piecing together the evidence, police grew confident in their conclusion. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't a suicide. It was a planned act, done quietly, carefully, and covered up in a way meant to fool everyone. But it didn't work. The truth was starting to come out. 3 days after Rhea's death, police caught Vikram hiding at a friend's private farmhouse in Lonavala. He had changed his SIM card, shaved his beard, and was preparing to leave India using a fake business invitation to Singapore. Tracking him wasn't easy. The cybercrime unit had to trace his movements through ATM security cameras, digital trails and signals from nearby Wi-Fi connections. It was clear he had no plan of coming back. When police brought him in for questioning, Vikram denied everything. He said Rhea had always been moody and may have taken pills herself. He claimed she was upset about something and that he had tried to comfort her. But this version didn't hold up for long. From his deleted phone data, a chilling message was recovered, one he sent 2 nights before Rhea died. It read, "You'll be free soon." The recipient was not identified immediately, but it added, "A dark twist. Free from what? And why was this sent so close to the time of her death?" It didn't stop there. Investigators also checked his search history, which revealed disturbing queries. He had looked up things like how to use benzodiazepines, how long do sedatives stay in the system, and even painless death. In water, these weren't harmless searches. They were steps in a plan. Then came the possible motive. Apart from his growing debts, a bigger secret came out. Vikram had been in a long-distance relationship with another woman, someone he had dated before meeting Rhea. She lived in Dubai, and their conversations showed that they were still emotionally involved. In one chat sent just weeks before his wedding, the woman asked him, "You really marrying her?" His reply, "Just for the money. Trust me." That girlfriend has since come forward and is now helping the police with the investigation. She confirmed that Vikram had promised to fix his situation and return to her soon. He never mentioned Rhea in a respectful way. To him, she seemed like a transaction, a temporary way to solve his problems. One of the most shocking discoveries was about Rhea's life insurance. Just 2 weeks before the wedding, her policy had been updated. Vikram was now the only person listed as the beneficiary, entitled to receive Rs 1 crore if something happened to her. Rhea's parents were shocked. She had never discussed this change with them. But Vikram knew, and that detail changed the tone of the investigation. When asked about the sedatives, Vikram said he had been using them for his anxiety. But the medical report showed that Rhea had over 4 times the regular dosage in her body. If she had taken the pills herself, it would have been visible. But she hadn't mentioned anything to anyone. Her friends said she didn't even like taking headache tablets without checking the side effects. The police began to believe he had crushed the pills and mixed them into her drink without her knowledge. All signs pointed to one thing. This wasn't a sudden emotional outburst. It was a well-planned murder. When the news of Vikram's arrest broke, it quickly became national news. Social media erupted. News anchors ran breaking updates every hour. Hashtags like "Your Justice for Rhea" and "Arrest Vikram" began trending on Twitter and Instagram. People were furious that someone could marry for money and then kill their partner so easily. Outside the Goa police station, people gathered with placards that read, "She deserved a future," "Stop groomed murders," and "Don't let her be another case file." The public wanted justice, not just for Rhea, but for the countless women who fall into the trap of fake love, lies, and manipulation. This case didn't just shake her family. It shook the entire country. It raised important questions about trust, love, and how much we really know the person we're marrying. Friends of Rhea started speaking out in interviews. They said she had always dreamed of a simple, happy life, a loving husband, a peaceful home, maybe kids one day. She wasn't chasing money or fame. All she wanted was real companionship. But she ended up with a man who used her, emotionally, financially, and ultimately, fatally. Even now, Vikram isn't fully cooperating. He refuses to answer many questions and keeps repeating that he did nothing wrong. But the evidence is piling up. Police have enough proof to charge him with premeditated murder, destruction of evidence, and attempt to flee the country. The case will go to court soon. If convicted, Vikram could face life in prison or even the death penalty. But justice isn't just about a courtroom verdict. It's about telling Rhea's story, loud and clear. It's about warning others who may be in relationships with hidden dangers. And it's about showing that no one is above the law, not charm, not money, and definitely not fake love, because in the end, lies can only go so far. Truth always catches up. Vikram's trial started with tight security and a packed courtroom. The case had received so much attention that every hearing was covered by the media. People were watching closely, hoping for justice. Vikram sat, calmly, showing no emotions, almost as if nothing had happened. He didn't look at Rhea's parents. He didn't say sorry. He just kept to himself. His defense team tried to twist the story. They claimed that Rhea may have been going through emotional stress and might have taken the pills on her own. They painted her as unstable, someone who was unpredictable and sensitive. But their argument didn't hold up for long. The prosecution came prepared with solid proof. They built a clear timeline that showed everything, from when Vikram searched how to use sedatives, to when he changed the insurance policy, to his actions after Rhea's death. They pointed out that it wasn't a sudden act. It was all planned. Rhea's close friends took the stand and spoke bravely. They shared messages and voice notes where Rhea had expressed her concerns. In one voice note, she said, "He's not the man I thought I married." Those words silenced the courtroom. It was clear that Rhea had been scared and confused, but still trying to make her marriage work. Then came a shocking moment in court. A staff member from the resort where they stayed testified that Vikram had asked to turn off the CCTV cameras in their villa, saying he needed privacy for the honeymoon. That happened 2 days before Rhea's death. Why would someone planning a romantic holiday ask to turn off the only security in the room? That testimony, along with the digital proof, his internet search history, deleted chats, and the fact that he applied for a fake passport, made the prosecution's case even stronger. It wasn't just suspicion anymore. It looked like a full-blown setup. The court charged Vikram with multiple crimes: murder, destruction of evidence, and planning to run away from the country. His request for bail was denied. He's now in judicial custody, waiting for the final sentencing. But for Rhea's family and for many people watching the case, justice still feels incomplete. No matter how harsh the punishment, it won't bring Rhea back. A woman full of dreams, just 25 years old, was killed in what should have been the happiest days of her life. Her honeymoon turned into a crime scene. The man she loved, trusted, and married turned out to be a manipulator, a predator hiding behind a polished smile and sweet words. He didn't just break her heart, he took her life. Outside the courtroom, people held candles and photos of Rhea. Strangers who had never met her came to support her parents. "We want justice," they said, "not just for Rhea, but for all the women who suffer silently." The media played a big role in keeping the case alive. Every new piece of evidence was reported. Every hearing followed. People were angry, emotional, and deeply affected. It made many couples and families question, how well do we really know someone before we trust them fully? This wasn't just a case. It became a symbol of broken trust, hidden abuse, and the urgent need to pay attention to red flags in relationships. And even as the courtroom drama ends, one thing remains clear: Rhea deserved better. Her story is a reminder that love without honesty is dangerous, that silence can be deadly, and that behind perfect Instagram pictures and big weddings, sometimes the truth is quietly screaming for help. After Rhea's heartbreaking death, her parents decided they wouldn't let her story fade away. They launched a foundation in her name, one that focuses on helping others understand the early signs of emotional abuse and controlling behavior in relationships. They started visiting colleges, hosting online webinars, and holding awareness events. Their message was simple but powerful: don't ignore your gut feelings, and don't stay quiet when something feels wrong. They spoke openly about how Rhea had never shown signs of being physically hurt, but how the emotional pressure she faced was just as dangerous. Her mother often says, if someone's love makes you feel small, scared, or silent, it's not love. In both Mumbai and Goa, local artists paid tribute to Rhea through street art. On one large mural, a message is painted in bold letters: she deserved to grow old. These murals became places where people left flowers, messages, and lit candles in her memory. On social media, Rhea's story has gone far beyond news headlines. Thousands have shared her pictures, her texts, and her story through Instagram reels, Twitter threads, and online petitions. Influencers, mental health advocates, and regular users started using the hashtag Justice for Rhea to bring attention to hidden abuse in modern relationships. One of the most emotional reactions came from her best friend, Priya. She wrote an open letter that went viral. She died trusting love. If we stay silent, the next Rhea dies too. That one line hit home for millions. People who had once stayed quiet about their own toxic relationships started speaking out. The public pressure created by this movement also caught the attention of lawmakers. In response, the government began discussing new legal steps. One proposal suggests that before registering a marriage, especially if international travel is planned after, there should be stricter background checks on both parties. This could include financial checks, past legal records, and even mandatory counseling. Rhea's case showed that abuse doesn't always mean physical violence. Sometimes it's hidden behind sweet messages, fancy holidays, and perfect photos. Sometimes it's control disguised as care. The foundation also created short videos and easy-to-understand guides for young adults. These materials explain what coercive control looks like. Constant checking of your phone, making you cut off friends, or blaming you for everything. Many people, especially women, said they had experienced similar patterns but didn't have a name for it until they heard Rhea's story. Her family's strength turned their pain into purpose. They couldn't save their daughter, but they're trying to save someone else's. In a world full of filters and flashy weddings, Rhea's voice has become a reminder. Look beyond the surface. Ask the hard questions and speak up, even when it's uncomfortable, because silence helps no one, and Rhea's voice, even after death, is one that still must be heard. Rhea Kapoor was a young woman who loved deeply and trusted completely. She believed in happily ever after, but instead she faced the worst kind of betrayal, and it cost her everything. If you think being controlled is just a sign of care, then think again. If someone always checks your phone, decides who you talk to, or makes you feel scared to speak your mind, that's not love. That's a warning sign. Rhea's story isn't just a news headline. It's a real-life lesson. It's a signal to pay attention, not only for yourself, but for the people around you. Because the next victim of silent abuse could be your sister, your cousin, your best friend, or even you. We can't bring Rhea back, but we can make sure her story doesn't fade away. If this case left you feeling angry, heartbroken, or uneasy, let that feeling push you to speak up. Talk about what happened. Share this story with someone who might need to hear it. Tell others that love should never feel like fear. Predators count on silence. They hope no one will notice, no one will ask questions, and no one will believe the victim. But we can break that silence together. Your voice can be powerful. Your voice can protect someone. Your voice can keep Rhea's memory alive. So don't scroll past. Don't forget. Be the voice that says, "This wasn't okay." Be the reason another life is saved. And above all, be loud enough that even the quietest cries are heard.